Why spiritually awakened people quietly disappear from society. Lately I've been catching myself with this strange, almost physical sensation. Imagine you're sitting in a theater watching a grand, colorful performance. The actors are playing with full dedication, the sets are gorgeous, the audience is applauding with delight, and you're sitting among them and everything seems wonderful. But it's just a play. You've seen the rehearsals. You know where the tears are fake and where the makeup hides real wrinkles. And the longer you sit there, the more unbearable this illusion becomes. You want to stand up and shout, "People, don't you see? This is just a game." But you don't chat because you understand. They truly don't see it. They want to believe in this performance. For them, this is reality. And so the only honest way out is to quietly stand up and walk out of the hall. Not out of hatred for the actors or the audience, but because your truth no longer fits within the framework of their script. And I've started to notice that I'm not the only one. Gradually, as if by some silent agreement, the most thoughtful, the most awake people from my circle have begun to quietly disappear. Not with loud announcements, not with farewell posts. Their presence just became quieter and quieter, their digital traces erased. At first, I thought depression, burnout, but then I understood this is not a flight from something. It's a flight to something, to oneself. This phenomenon was predicted almost 100 years ago by Carl Jung. He called it the necessary withdrawal into oneself. This is not a whim or spiritual snobbery. It is a survival mechanism of the psyche in conditions of total unconsciousness. Part 1. The curse of consciousness. When seeing the truth becomes painful, let's break down the very first, most shocking stage of awakening. Imagine a typical office, 9 in the morning. Colleagues are drinking coffee, discussing yesterday's TV series. On the surface, it's idyllic. Now let's look through the eyes of a person whose consciousness has begun to awaken. He doesn't just see people. He sees manager Alexei, who is boasting about a new watch. But the awakened one hears not pride, but a cry, "Look at me. I matter. I am not that poor boy from my childhood." Accountant Irina, who is complaining about the director. The awakened one understands. She is projecting the image of her despotic father onto her boss. Intern Maxim, who is laughing obsequiously at the boss's joke. The awakened one feels the fear emanating from him, the fear of being rejected. And the most terrible thing, this X-ray vision turns on against your will. You don't want to see this. You just want to drink your coffee and talk about the weather. But you can't. Let me give you an example from real practice. A man, let's call him Sergey, a successful IT specialist, came to a psychologist. His complaint, "I can't be at corporate events anymore. I start shaking, I can't breathe." During the work, a shocking detail emerged. Sergey literally saw energetic connections between people. He saw threads of fear, balls of vanity, streams of unspoken resentment. For him, a corporate party turned into a hellish carnival of psychic monsters. This is the curse of consciousness. You can no longer participate in normal life because for you, it has ceased to be normal. It has become transparent. And to live in a transparent world where everyone wears opaque masks is a form of torture. Part 2. The Great Escape from the Matrix. Why social media became a battlefield. If ordinary social life becomes a problem, then social networks for an awakened person are a disaster zone. Why? Because a social network is not just a platform. It is a giant, never-sleeping reactor of the collective unconscious. A place where people dump their unprocessed psychic waste. Let's consider the levels of this attack. 1. The level of projections. A girl posts a photo with her boyfriend in the caption, "Happiness exists." In reality, she is projecting her need to prove to her ex and her friends that she is normal and desired. A business coach posts quotes about success, projecting his own insecurity about the future. A politician denounces enemies, projecting his own inner dark side onto them. The awakened person who has done the work of integrating their shadow sees this at first glance. Every such post for them is like a dirty rag waved in their face. 2. The level of energetic vampirism. Likes, comments, these are not just numbers. This is a system of collective approval and rejection that feeds on psychic energy. When a person posts something and anxiously waits for approval, they literally throw a hook of their need into the network. The awakened person, being energetically sensitive, gets caught on these hooks. They feel this universal, insatiable thirst for recognition, this vibration of collective anxiety. It's like being in a room where thousands of people are simultaneously screaming, love me, look at me. 3. The level of informational poison. But the main danger isn't even this. The main danger lies in the very architecture of these platforms. The algorithms are tuned to show the most conflict-ridden, emotionally charged, alarming content. Why? Because it holds attention, and attention is money. Thus, the awakened person entering their feed finds themselves immersed in a concentrated broth of human fears, aggression, envy, and panic. This is no longer just a news feed. This is a live broadcast from the slaughterhouse of the collective psyche. I have an acquaintance, Yulia, a former SMM manager. She told me that at some point she couldn't log into her work account without feeling nauseous. She wasn't joking. It was a physiological reaction of her body to tons of unconscious hatred, trolling, and fakes that she had to moderate. Her body, her psyche, said, "Stop. We can no longer process this." She quit, deleted all her accounts, and moved to the countryside to work in a greenhouse. Therefore, leaving social media for such people is not a digital detox. It is an act of saving one's soul, like putting on a gas mask in a poisoned room. You don't become better than those who stayed in the room. You simply understand that your constitution does not allow you to breathe this air. Part 3. Meeting the Demon. Shadow integration and its consequences. Now let's talk about the most difficult, darkest, yet most transformative stage of this path, about what Jung called the meeting with the shadow. What is the shadow? It is everything in us that we once decided was bad, wrong, shameful, and shoved into the darkest basement of our psyche. Our aggression, our envy, our vanity, our sadistic or masochistic tendencies, our laziness, our fear. An ordinary person lives diligently pretending that this shadow doesn't exist. They project it onto others. I'm not aggressive, it's everyone else who is mean. I'm not vain, it's everyone else who are show-offs. This is how our psychic defense works. The awakening process begins when these defenses fail. You can no longer project. You are forced to admit, yes, this aggression is mine. Yes, this envy is mine. Yes, there's a part of me that wants power, that wants to be special, that hates and destroys. This is a terrible, heart-wrenching moment. It's like discovering that a scary, dirty monster has been living in the basement of your clean, cozy house for years. Your first reaction is horror and disgust. You want to lock it up again, kill it, deny its existence. But awakening is the path of the warrior, not the path of the ostrich. And the next step is to go down into that basement, to look this monster in the eyes, and to understand that it is a part of you. That it didn't just appear for no reason. Maybe your aggression once protected you from school bullies. Maybe your vanity is a cry for love from that bull whom no one ever praised. The process of shadow integration is not about becoming bad. It is about becoming whole. It is about embracing your inner outcast and bringing it back home. And so, after months or even years of this titanic inner work, you finally attain a certain wholeness. You accept both the light and the darkness within yourself, and you go back out into the world. And what do you see? You see that the whole world is still playing the game fine and punish the shadow. All the political talk shows, all the office intrigues, all the blog scandals, all the family quarrels, it's one big, global ball of unclaimed shadows. People are eagerly pointing fingers at others' shadows, not noticing their own. And you can no longer participate in this. It becomes boring. No, that's not right. It becomes painful, because you know the price of this work. You know what it's like to meet your own demon face to face, and to see others so zealously playing at throwing stones at other people's demons seems to you now not just stupidity, but some kind of cosmic, tragic vulgarity. You stop watching TV. You lose interest in the news. You don't participate in gossip, because you have finally fed your own hungry demon, and you no longer have the need to devour others. Part 4. Bollingen. Why solitude is needed for the birth of the new self-society often stigmatizes such people. Asocial, withdrawn, not of this world. This is a total misunderstanding. Withdrawal into solitude is not the end of development. It is its culmination. Jung realized from his own experience that special conditions are needed for the birth of a new, conscious self. Just as a womb is needed for a child to be born, so a space free from external influences is needed for the birth of the soul. For him, that space became the tower in Bollingen. Imagine, no electricity, no running water, just a fireplace, a well, silence, and nature. He wasn't running from people. He was running to himself. In Bollingen, he could allow himself to just be. Not a professor, not a psychotherapist, not a husband, not a father, but simply a human being. The meaning of this solitude was 1. Resetting external projections. In the city, roles are constantly projected onto us. You're a boss, you're a son, you're a client, you're a subway passenger. These projections, like sticky labels, adhere to our sense of self. In solitude, all these labels fall off. You are left alone with who you are without them. 2. Dialogue with the unconscious. In silence and solitude, the voices that are drowned out by the noise in the city become loud. Dreams become brighter. Forgotten memories surface. Insights come. Jung called this active imagination a method of direct dialogue with the depths of one's own psyche. In Bollingen, he recorded his dreams, drew mandalas, carved symbols from stone. This was not a deferral of life, but its most intensive phase. 3. Crystallization of the true personality. When you are constantly among people, your personality is a compromise, a reaction to their expectations. In solitude, it begins to crystallize from within like ice in the frost. You discover your real, not imposed desires. Your true, not borrowed, thoughts. This stage is not eternal, but it is absolutely necessary. It is the psychological equivalent of the cocoon in which a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. To destroy this cocoon is to doom it to an eternal life in an intermediate, ugly form. Part 5. Returning with the gift. A new role in the world. Our hero has passed through the pain of awakening, the horror of meeting the shadow, the transformation and solitude. What next? Sit in the tower forever? No. The archetypal path is departure, initiation, return. The hero returns with a gift, but he returns different. He does not try to fit into the old system. He returns as a bearer of a different consciousness. He no longer strives to be successful by society's standards, be recognized by the system, fix the world or remake people to his standard. His task now is to be himself, to be whole, to be conscious, and this being itself becomes his main gift to the world. How does this manifest in practice? He creates islands of authenticity, a cafe where people talk about what's real, not about the weather, a workshop where they teach not a craft but patience and attention, spaces where you can take off your masks. He becomes a guide. He doesn't heal or save, but those who are just beginning to awaken and feel lost and alone are drawn to him. He doesn't give them ready-made answers. He simply shows by his presence. What is happening to you is normal. I went through this, and you will too. He brings consciousness into his profession. If he is a doctor, he heals not just the body, but the person. If he is a teacher, he teaches not just a subject, but a love of knowledge. If he is an entrepreneur, he builds a business not on greed, but on value and honesty. He becomes a quiet engine of the evolution of consciousness. He doesn't shout from a podium. He shines like a lighthouse in the fog of collective sleep, and his light is seen by those who are ready to awaken. Part 6. Energetic sensitivity. Not mysticism, but reality with the development of awareness. A person becomes energetically sensitive. This is not mysticism. Our thoughts, emotions, especially suppressed ones, are real energetic patterns. The awakened person becomes a receiver of these patterns. Social networks are a giant emission of the human unconscious. People project their unrealized potential, aggression, fears, and thirst for recognition there. For an ordinary person, this is a feed. For the awakened one, it's a cacophony of others' mental states, a loud, incessant din that pounds on the brain 24/7. It's like living with a constant migraine. Turning off notifications doesn't help, because the problem is not the quantity of information, but its quality, the unconscious shadow energy behind every post, every comment. Therefore, leaving social networks is not a digital detox. It is reclaiming one's right to mental health. Part 7. If you recognize yourself, you are not alone if you are watching this. And recognize yourself in this description if you feel a longing for silence, irritation from falseness, loneliness in a crowd. I want to tell you one main thing. You are not going crazy. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are a seed that has outgrown its old pot. Your roots are searching for new, more fertile soil. Your soul demands more space than the collective dream can offer. What you are experiencing is not a crisis. It is an initiation, a transition to a new level of being. Yes, it is painful. Yes, it is lonely, but beyond it lies the possibility of a life that will be 100% yours. Not imposed, not borrowed, not forced. Your disappearance is, in fact, your most important appearance. The appearance of who you truly are. And remember, in the silence where you are going, those who left earlier are already waiting for you. You are not alone. You are the vanguard. You are preparing the soul for a new humanity, more conscious, more whole, more authentic. And this, my friends, is worth going through.